In this section, we're going to discuss and review different ways to calculate down payments, money required to come into closing, different numbers like that. These types of problems don't involve difficult math at all. They just usually involve multiple steps. So the important thing is to identify what the question is asking and then take the appropriate steps to find the answer. See here in our example that we have a purchase price of $400,000. We know that the borrower is approved for a 90% loan. They've put $10,000 down in earnest money, and the closing costs are going to total 1.5%. So the first question we want to ask is, what is the down payment? Down payment is defined as basically the difference between the loan amount and the purchase price. So in this case, our purchase price is $400,000. We need to calculate our loan amount based on the loan to value ratio that we're given. It's a pretty simple math calculation. Just take your $400,000, multiplied by 0.9, which is 90%, that's going to give us a loan amount of $360,000. So now we can easily calculate our down payment, which is just the difference between the purchase price and our loan amount. Our purchase price is $400,000. Subtract from that the loan amount, and that gives us a down payment of $40,000. You'll notice another way we could have calculated this problem is just take 10% of $400,000, because we know if the loan to value ratio is 90, that means the borrower is putting 10% down. So the loan amount the purchase price multiplied by that 10% would have given us the same number. You'll also notice that we did not include the earnest money of $10,000 in the calculation. That question asked for the down payment, not the amount the borrower needed to bring into closing. This earnest money is only going to come into play if the question is asked, what is the borrower required to come into closing with? The question didn't ask that, so we didn't use the $10,000 in earnest money. The amount the borrower has to come into closing would include that $10,000, but the down payment itself, by definition, is just the $40,000. So let's do that problem. Let's figure out how much the borrower is required to bring in for cash to close. We already figured the down payment in the previous problem, and that was $40,000. So that was our down payment. Okay. We know that the borrower is bringing in, or has already brought in, $10,000 in earnest money. Because that has already been paid, that is going to be subtracted from the amount the borrower needs to bring into closing. Okay. The only thing remaining is the closing costs. And we're told that that's 1.5%, but we're not told what that's 1.5% of. Closing costs typically are going to be based on the loan amount, not the purchase price. So in this case, our loan amount was the $360,000. So if we want to figure the closing costs, we're going to multiply that $360,000 by 1.5%. Now on your calculator, that is going to be 0.015. So if you multiply 360,000 by 1.5% or 0.015, that gives us $5,400 in closing costs. So we come over here and add that to our calculation from before. So if we take the $40,000 down payment, subtract the $10,000 earnest money that the borrower's already put down, and then add to that the $5,400 in closing costs, that will give us the total amount that the borrower is expected to bring into closing. So that sum of all those numbers is $35,400. That again is the borrower's cash to close requirements, not necessarily the down payment, but it does include the earnest money, the down payment, and the closing costs. Okay, let's use this example for one more type of problem, and that's a discount point problem. Discount points are paid to permanently buy down the interest rate. Let's say there's a borrower who decides they want to pay 1 point in discount to permanently buy down the interest rate. So 1 point in discount is defined as 1% of the loan amount. So again, if we hadn't already done so, we'd need to calculate the loan amount in order to solve this problem. But we already know the loan amount is $360,000. So if we want to figure out what one discount point of the loan amount is, we multiply that number by 1.0%, which on your calculator is 0.01, and that's going to give us an answer of $3,600. So if the borrower wants to buy down the interest rate and pay 1 point in discount, they would be paying $3,600 in addition to their closing costs to do so.